Once.
I'm in delay. I'm in delay.
Yeesh.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. Sorry, delay.
Quiet but audible. Okay, let's raise this up. All right. All right. I think we're good now. We're good for real.
Yay!
All right, cool. We'll get the show on the road. For the viewers coming in, it looks like we got 6 people so far. Awesome. Appreciate you guys coming in. For those who have never been a part of the podcast, this is a Citizen Voice podcast. This is episode 4, I believe. And kind of the purpose of the podcast, if you were not aware, is to talk about all things org and kind of community related. So today's particular topic, as you'll see as we get into, is all about player events and how they impact the community and whatnot. So obviously with that, there's a lot of avenues this can go, which is why I'm really excited for this conversation. So how do player events affect the community? How do they affect org's growth? How do they affect kind of the general feel of the game? Those are going to be some of the topics we're hitting on today. And for those who don't know, this is my new but good friend Kiosa, YouTuber, streamer, big player of the game, whatnot. And we
Twitter
recently
cloud getter.
Twitter cloud getter. We recently got connected. What, like 2 months ago? I think something like, or a month and a half, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like 3 events ago.
Yeah, it sounds right. About a month and a half ago. Since then, we've been playing a lot together. He's been in some of my events. We've been checking out all the new Hathor stuff. And so, yeah, thought it'd be fun to have him on, talk a little bit about some of his experiences with the game and kind of his thoughts on player events and whatnot. So, Kiosa, tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe what got you into the game, what kind of keeps you playing the game, and we'll start there.
The clout. No, I got into SC from Tarkov. Somebody told me to click all the buttons in Star Citizen, and I thought that was exciting because in Tarkov you have to click all the buttons and do all the things. And that was, I think I'm coming up on 4 years of it being like, I used to be like very variety, and this has taken over. But yeah, I do low-fly things. We obviously do piracy things together. I think that's fun. Getting more into the PvP stuff is cool. And then, yeah, the events I think are super exciting. I've like all the ones that I've been thinking about, I don't even think about anymore. I'm just like focusing on yours. I think yours are very exciting.
I think everyone that's watching live at least knows, but for the viewers that aren't watching live, I recently, well, they really started taking off about a couple months ago, but I've been doing them for about a year or so. I do what I call practically immersive arms dealing events, and so that's where my experience comes from, is running. I think I've run 13 of them now, something like that. And so with that, we dip a little bit into kind of the role play. I don't like to call it role play because I think that scares a lot of people off, but a lot of people do call it role play, and it's totally fair. There is definitely some elements of that. And with that, it kind of, you bring guys in, you have your security, you have your logistics guys, you bring them all in one thing, in one group, one new location, and it's out of Armistice, kind of real, gritty, trying to go for that Lord of War style movie vibe if you've ever watched that movie. So that's kind of my background on some of this. So Kiosa's come to the last couple of those events. So Kiosa, in terms of PvP, I know you said you've been dipping into that, and I know also because I've been doing it with you. Have you always done PvP, or is this kind of a newer thing for you?
No, it's newer, I guess. Yeah. I always just did missions and stuff. I don't really know why I got into it, actually. I don't remember. But I just did. And then I started really, you doing the camera stuff is going to trip me out the whole time. I started like messing around with one of the PvP orgs because I wanted to get better. And I thought that wasn't super fun. So then I just kind of went off on my own and just built the little community that we have. almost mini griefers, honestly, at times. But I don't know. Like, I think the talking stuff, like the extortion stuff we do, and the inspecting stuff, I think is like super fun. And like, yeah, that is role play, and like, yeah, what you're saying, like, that kind of turns people off. Like the amount of times people are like, "I'm not doing your role play shit," and I'm like, "All right, whatever." But I don't know. I think that like it gives it like a new level to me, where it's not just like I fly in and kill people, which like yes, we do that all the time too. But you know, like sometimes it's like, okay, let's see if we can get something out of them, and then they can do their thing, and we can like protect them or something. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoy that stuff more. The killing for the sake of the killing is like, it doesn't. It's fun, but it's not. It's not what keeps me playing the game. It's the extortion, the robbing, and that kind of stuff, or all the other player kind of interactions you can have too. Um, and yeah, so just for some history for the viewers, how long have you been playing the game, and how long do you think you'll keep playing the game?
If we keep that on days like today, I don't know. No, I was three and a. Today was horrible. Like 3.5 years. It's December of 2021 is when I started. It was like that Christmas sale is when I hopped
Yep.
in. So, but I took a long break, like maybe like 6 months, because my PC, like when 318 came out, my PC literally couldn't do it. Like it just could not run it anymore. The PTU like crushed it, and when it went live, I just couldn't do it. So when I got my new PC is when I like really dove in. That's when I started doing the content stuff too, because it was just like, it just was so like something's always going to happen. Like whether you fly into something random or there's just like some weird in it, like encounter interaction. And I was like, this game is so sick. Like there's always stuff happening. Like at all times is like you go out to do a cargo mission, and you end up finding players at the distribution center and like fighting them. It's like I don't know. That's what like really pushed me into that. Like okay, let's just record this all the time and just see what happens.
Yeah. And how long do you think you'll keep playing, kind of
Oh,
based off the future of the game and where it's going?
forever, right? Forever until
Yeah.
it's fucking out. I don't know. Like I don't like I take these little breaks. Like we've been playing War Thunder lately and like Dragon's Dogma and stuff. But I don't know. Never like when do you ever really plan to stop playing a game? You know,
Yeah, well, like,
as
so
long as it works, I'll keep playing it.
So I know for me personally, before 4.0 launched, I gave myself a year. I said, like, there needs to be drastic change in the next year, and if there's not, I'm gonna step away, and I don't think I'll come back. But then 4.0 came back, and like my fun levels have elevated to such a high level that I'm like, yeah, I'm playing for life. Like I'm a for lifer at this point. It's too fun. There's no going back. I'm on the bandwagon so unbelievably hard, and
Yeah, I guess I did take a little break, like a 3 month break before 4.0. I forgot about that one too, because the game was completely broken. I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I was like, I'm done with this shit. And I went and I played GTRP, which is so similar in so many ways.
yeah,
It's so funny. It's cringe, but it's cute. But when 4.0 came back is when I came. They went into PTU and I came back and I was like, I saw my character and I was like, we're here for it. Let's do this shit. Like this is gonna be awesome. Yeah. I mean, as long as it keeps working, right? And like the last what 3 or 4 months have been really good. So they're
something.
pretty good. Okay, I guess.
I would argue that 4.0 so far has been. I mean, for me at least, and this is the hard part with Star Citizen, as I'm sure everyone knows, is like my experience could be so different than yours based on what you like to
Yep.
do. Like, oh, if you liked cargo running, well, cargo could be in a disastrous place. I wouldn't know that because I steer clear from that. But maybe if you were PvP, you've been having great times while other people are having terrible times. So it's hard. In my experience, though, it's never been better. I've been cruising.
Yeah.
It's been more or less bug free. In Star Citizen world, bug free. In other world, we would be getting shamed on for even suggesting that. But it's been tons of fun. So quick note to the live viewers before we transition into kind of the primary topics. Um, to those wondering why I'm dressed up like this, I do sales in real life, and I came straight from work straight into this, so I didn't really have time to get into a more podcast fitting outfit. Um, and feel free to drop comments. I won't necessarily respond to all of them. But if there's like a question you want to ask or anything like that, or a topic you want to hit on while we're going through this, kind of the main part of this, feel free to drop it in the comments there, and I'll see if I can kind of integrate it into the conversation in a way that makes sense. So, with that, we will transition into kind of the main topics. So, I know you used to do low fly stuff. Kind of talk to us a little bit about that. Would you consider that to be player generated content? Because I would say it is.
Oh yeah, 100%. I wasn't there when it got like started, so to
Yeah.
speak, but yeah, no, that I mean, that was not intended. There's no way that they thought that was ever going to be a thing that much less 80 people do together at one time. Like, well, I think we had like 50 actually low flyers or low flyers at the last event we were at. But like, there's been tons of events where it's been the entire server. Like when we had 100-player servers, the entire server, and people waiting. Like, can we get in at some point? So yeah, that's completely player made. All of those events are completely player. I don't think. I mean, Sig kind of recognizes that a bit. I think they just posted a low fly video in the newsletter thing where where they do like an MVP.
Yep.
It was the one with Fatbird. It was Fatbird's video, shout out Fatbird, and there was like a side note for a low fly video, which like the Kalani video was technically a low fly video too. But yeah, I mean that's completely player. It's so cool. I love it.
And what got you connected to that group? Did someone reach out to you? Did you find it yourself? What was that connection?
So I was just watching YouTube and I found Low Fly Till I Die, which is the GOAT. Maybe not now. There's probably people better now, but have you seen his videos?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's fire as fuck. Dude, he's so good. And I was like, I was still pretty new. I didn't even know what decoupled was. Like my first maybe like month of low flying, I was on mouse and keyboard in coupled. Yet like all of the settings were incorrect. Like it was insane. But like watching his videos, I was like, dude, this is sick as shit. And I just got really into it. I just happenstance, like the verse is, happened to say, do you low fly your ship sometimes as a joke to somebody? And they invited me to like the entire low fly group and everything. And that's how I met everybody and got involved in that. And yeah, I'm not so much in it anymore, but they're still the boys, I guess.
And how long were you doing kind of low fly stuff for?
Like a year.
Oh wow,
it was a long time. Like people are like, how'd you do, like how are you so, which I'm trash. Like there are people that are so much better than me, it's insane. I'm just the one that posts the most, you know what I mean? But people are like, how'd you learn how to do that? I'm like, it's all I did for a year. Like literally 6 hours a day. I got sticks and just flew all day, or 6 hours a day, and just practiced. Like
yeah.
But yeah, for like a year, and then I did videos by myself for a little bit, and then I started doing the cinematic stuff with the Talon, where I would because then I wasn't any good. Like I sucked, so trying to follow them was basically impossible because they were way better. I just couldn't keep up. And leading was, nobody wanted to follow me. So I would just be a camera ship and practice flying and like learning how to like move, like in weird ways in the Talon because it's basically free. And then I would just camera ship for them and post the videos.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you think, I'm guessing because you did it for a year, that was kind of like what brought you back to like kept you playing the game was the low fly at the time at least? It was like you were coming back to participate in those experiences and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just all I did. Like I wanted to get better.
Yeah.
It's just like any of those things where you're just like, I really want to get good at this. Like I would just watch the videos and be like, I have to get somewhere in that realm of skill. I want to be able to do that thing. I'm just going to dedicate all my free time to learning that thing.
Yep. And would you, I would, based on our conversations in the past, but would you consider that low fly group to be like a low fly org, I guess you could call it?
No. Because there's so many like little groups, which I guess they are in, I guess technically they're all their own orgs, sure. Like there's Flows, which is the Major Torque squad. I don't remember what Gilga's is called. Cinzi's is called Mischievous Simpletons or something. So like they're like groups, I guess, because they play too. It's not like they only low fly; they also play.
Yeah.
So I guess they're like an org. I don't know if they're like officially orgs, but basically, yeah.
Nice. So that kind of transitions us, I think, nicely into the next topic I want to get into is, so outside of low fly, what's your experience with orgs? So not necessarily events that orgs do, but just kind of orgs in general outside of low flying. Have you had good experiences, bad experiences, any kind of ones that stand out or anything like that?
I guess I've been in two or three. If you count the one that we're building, I guess it would be three. But I've been in two, and they were very different. One was just like missions, and that's all they did. And then I was in Pagala. I guess I technically am still in Pagala. I mean, I'm still in all the like the chats and stuff. I just haven't played with them in forever. But good. I mean, the first org wasn't. They just weren't really my vibe. Plus, they bought AUAC on eBay, so I was just like, nah, fuck that. And then Pagala's been mostly good. There's a few of us that don't really vibe super well, but for the most part, I think we play really well together. Like, it's nice when it's like your comms are good when you don't need to say like the whole sentence. You know what I mean? Like just a few words. You're like, oh, I know what they mean, and like that was pretty often. Which I also learned how to play the game with them, so I think that helped too. Because like the things that they would call things in the game is just what I thought they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember, I might have been the first time I played with you and Spartan and some of the other guys too. That was like what stuck out to me was the comms. We were all flying around on Pyro Gateway, and we got into this like PvP thing. I don't know if you remember that, but we were like at Pyro Gateway, and it just turned into this huge like 6-on-6 or 6-on-7, something like that. But the comms were insane, and we were just, it was like we barely even had to speak to each other, and we were just absolutely cooking them and just helping it out with each other. Teamwork, it was fantastic. Then I know that for me was like yes, want to keep rolling with them because if we keep getting experiences like that, like that's super fun.
Dude, that first day we were eating. That shit was too good. I mean, over half the group finished the entire supplier die event within like 6 hours. Like we just were eating, and none of it was bought. We just pirated all of it. It was so good, dude. I still have not made a video out of that stuff, like those videos. I need to. It'd be so good.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. So in terms of those two experiences mixed with the low fly, plus you're kind of starting your own thing, what would you say are some of the more important things that an org either does or integrates or participates in? And then maybe what's one or two things that you think you haven't enjoyed being in a group or an org, or you wish was better in the org scene?
What were the first two parts?
Like
the things I liked.
Like things you liked or things that you thought worked well, things like that.
Good vibes more than anything. Goddamn, you could be the best goddamn gamer in the fucking world. I wouldn't give a shit if I didn't like you. You know what I mean? Like, but that goes for everybody. Like, if we just have somebody that doesn't like somebody else, especially like me being like the leader of this little ensemble, I'm the one that has to deal with it. So like I'm the inspectors, exactly. I'm the one that, like, I don't know. That can be a lot. So keeping the vibes chill and like everybody just like gets it, and we're not just bitching, and we're not having like bad times. Like if we're not having a good time on Star Citizen, we just switch to something else. We don't all have to keep playing together every single day. Like Tommy and Tao kind of took a little break, and Tommy's been playing like Path of Exile, and I don't know what Tao's doing. But you know, like it's chill. But that's probably the biggest thing to me is just like we all just get along. We don't just shit talk each other all day. Like I don't even really like shit talking that much in the game. You know what I mean? Like you've seen that. I will if you go after us. I'll get fucking active as fuck. Especially if you make a guide how to do something. How to some of my friends. I don't like that very much. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like I just like to be chill and have fun and play the game. That's all. so when it's not like that, I don't like that. And when it's like, I don't know, when we don't all have like the same like goal, I guess you could say, like we don't all just have I don't know. I don't know how to that part, because like to me, a big part of the game is like almost RPing a little bit. So if you're not like, if a big explosion happens, I'm like, wow. So if you don't like that, I'm not gonna like playing with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like having the same, and so it wasn't goal. Like I guess outlook on how to play the game, I guess would be how to say that.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a fair way of saying it.
But what you were saying about like events and shit, I think like that's why I'm trying to get the boys to like come to your shit. And like we brought Tommy and Tao the first day, and then Tao came to the next one, and like Tao was like really getting into it, right? Like, isn't that really cool? Like, I think going to stuff like that is super cool because it one gives you guys something to do that isn't just playing the game constantly and having to deal with that stuff, but you still get to like interact with each other, then interact with like other people, and like I think that's really cool too.
So,
That's why I like really linked up with you so much, because I was like, that's fun as fuck. I want to do that like every time.
yeah, that's a perfect segue into it's kind of like a spin-off question, which is, what are your thoughts on orgs that do events that are strictly for org members versus what I kind of do, which is like open it up to the community, and so like to kind of bring in you and your friends can also integrate with this group and their group of friends and this group and their group of friends, and then the main org is the one facilitating it. What do you think works better? I know what I think because it's what I do, but I want to get an outsider's perspective on that kind of perspective of internal events versus external.
I think it depends on what you're doing. Like for what you're doing, like pulling the community in and having like lots of people come and like opening it up to global chat, like that really works. But like, let's say your event is like a tank showdown on Yella. You can't really open that up because you're just going to get A1 bombed. Like that, you have to keep internal. Like if you're trying to do like an FPS event, you basically have to keep that internal, especially with the PvP boys, right? Like
Indeed.
the last event, I had heard there was no chance. Like we're low flyers. We're boring as fuck. Apparently it's not too far off. But like, if you post an event, people are going to come to it. So like it kind of depends.
Yeah. I'll briefly touch on that subject real quick. That's a hot one. Which is, and that thing I'm about to say is necessarily a question, but feel free to comment on it as I'm talking. Which is, for the viewers kind of listening and whatnot, a really interesting part about creating what I call like dynamic community events that anyone can come to is obviously there's people in the community that you actually don't want to come to your events, but you can't outwardly say that.
Because then they're coming.
Because then they're definitely coming. And so it's a really interesting game that you have to play, which is like creating an atmosphere that people want to interact with while simultaneously creating the same atmosphere that discourages that certain group of people, and they shall not be named, from showing up and potentially either disrupting the events in a way that was not intended, or kind of what Kyoso was saying, kind of ruining the vibes. You have people coming in talking tons of trash and kind of just ruining the vibes of the event. It can put a sour on it real quick, and so it's an interesting debacle that I'm still learning how to do, and people take and handle this very differently than I do. I take a very open approach. I'll invite anyone. I actually go so far as to invite the people I don't want to come, because they get invited, it's less attractive for them to come, because that is their whole appeal, is they want to show up uninvited. So when you invite them, it's no longer attractive for them, and they just write it off as another event that they're not going to hit. And so it's an interesting take. I don't know that my way is the right way, but it is a way, and so far it's worked. When I first started doing these events, I was getting hit all the time with people that I did not want to show up. It was almost 100% for the first like
Oh,
7 I did. I think I got hit every time, or maybe 6 out of the 7 times, something like that. It was crazy. But since then, they have not hit me at all, and which is really interesting because they've grown exponentially since then. At the first 7 were really small and had probably under 15, maybe under 10 people show up. And since 7, so events 7 through what will be 14 next week, those ones have been huge in terms of attendance, and they haven't showed up. So I'm curious what has caused that, if something's changed there or whatnot, but it'll be interesting to dig into that. Um, so, kind of a next question to kind of keep this conversation moving is, um, so obviously you've come to my last 3 events. Describe your experience, because I've shared my experience a lot all over social media and whatnot from my perspective of how I consider it to be tons of fun and super dynamic, and it's super fun to have the community come in. But as kind of a quote unquote outsider coming to these events, what is your kind of take on it, feel on it? How has it kind of changed your outlook on the game? Things like that.
you want me to go one by one,
Sure,
or just
sure.
as a whole?
Yeah, you
Okay,
can
'cause
go
I'm
one
trying
by
to find
one.
the pictures of the first one. I don't remember that one as much. That's the one where I actually really did sell you stuff, right?
The first one, yes. First one,
Yeah,
you. Uh, it was
that was the one on
a bit
Hurston.
smaller. Yeah, it was on Hurston. It was a bit
Yeah,
smaller,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
but
okay. So yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember thinking this is so over the top because you had the dude escort me in. And I
yeah,
was like he was like flying around in front of me and I was like, "What is he doing?" And you're like, "He'll escort you in." I was like, "Oh, shit." Like it's like that. Like, damn, that's crazy. And you had set it up on that little platform with the thing and we walked down.
yep,
And yeah, that one was smaller. The second one was the Shadow Moses one,
correct, yep.
or was it Blight Vale? Who was it?
Shadow Moses, yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That one was fun and super epic because you had the planned battle, right? Okay, I'm like trying to find the picture so I can remind myself what happened.
Yep, so that
Yeah,
was the
you had the
big
planned
planned
battle.
battle. Although at the
I
time, the
mean,
people didn't know it was planned.
yeah, fair. Oh, true. That's funny as shit, actually. To me, it's like, it's just something to do. Like, I don't even know really how to describe it. Like, it's just like, hey, we're going to go. Because to me, I don't know if it's kind of obvious, but I'm not a part of the show, even though the last one I kind of was a little bit more. But I'm not like, I don't know, like I'm almost like standoffish about it. Not standoffish, like I'm just there to vibe. I'm literally there to sit there and watch. That's like my whole thing. Like that's why I bring you something stupid to sell, like the potted plant or my painting that Chris ate. That was gonna be, dude. That was gonna be so fucking funny. I'm telling you, I had that shit written out. It was gonna be hilarious. Oh, and Prox was working. Oh, it was gonna be so good. But yeah, like I just like to go and sit. Like it's just something you don't ever get to see. Like if I load into the verse right now, I can't go look at that.
Yeah,
So I just want to go and sit there and take pictures and just like take it in and chill and see what happens. And like with Prox working, that's such a new thing because I like at the last one, I literally got to sit at the table, set up my camera in like 2 different spots and just watch. Like it was a video basically. I just was watching like a live stream of these people doing arm steals in Star Citizen. You
yeah,
don't get to do that. Like that's not just a thing that happens. You can't make that happen whenever you want to. So to me, it's just like, how do you not go to that? Which to me, like almost every event is like, how do you not go to it? Because events are fun and exciting, and it's a bunch of players getting together. Like the charity one I did, where it was like 30 or 40 streamers sitting in a Valkyrie. I was like, this is pretty crazy. I was like looking left and right, like, yo, this is everybody. Like,
yeah,
holy shit. But yeah, it's just like something like that's why I just bring the STV and I just sit on the side and I just watch because I think it's just cool. Like it's cool to just chill and watch.
yeah. It is. It's fun to be a part of. One, it's fun to host as well. Some people are like, oh, like how do you run these events so frequently? Which to me, I don't run them frequently. Every 2 weeks to me is not very frequently. Um, but it's interesting. So a little history for the viewers and you too, Kies, because I don't know if I've talked about this a lot. So I come from an org that I was helping to lead for a while, and I ran kind of at the time they called it divisions. So it's like each the org had multiple divisions, and we had like a medical division, we had a bounty hunting division, we had an industrial division, and then we had like a fleet division and a security. So I ran the hunting division or the bounty hunter division, and so with that, it put me in a position where I needed to generate events for the people in my division to kind of be entertained by, and so that started this wheel of, well, bounty hunters are kind of this gray area, so what can I do to kind of create this gray area environment for my players that when bounty hunting is kind of a little stale and boring, we can come up with something else to do. And so that then prompted arms dealing. I'm like, nothing gets quite more gray than selling weapons to other players. And so that's where I started the arms deal events. And it was really interesting to see that be received because some people liked it and some people really didn't like it, which is totally fine. But the people that liked it loved it and were like, I need more of this. And so that set my train in motion, and I was heading in one direction. So I ended up having kind of some issues because I was heading in a different direction than they were. It caused a little bit of issues there, so I ended up leaving that org and trying to start my own thing. And that has kind of led us to where we are now, which is creating tons and tons and tons of events. I don't really call what I have an org either. I more call it a group. A friend earlier called it a syndicate.
Right.
And it's
Devin, look for a beer, but keep talking.
No worries. It's that looks so funny. And so yeah, it's just caused a lot of interesting dynamics for both me as creating an event, getting to connect and talk with so many people. I've gotten to meet way more people, both org leaders and members of various orgs recently, and it's been a ton of fun there. So in terms of like when you've gone to some my last three events, was there something about, because each of those three were a little bit different, they all had kind of a thing about them. The first one was kind of smaller, more personal. The second one obviously had that big finale, and the crew size was huge at like 50 something people. And then the last one we did was about a medium-sized crew at about 25-ish, something like that. But ProxChat was working. Mm-hmm. And so obviously you mentioned ProxChat earlier. So each of them have kind of had different unique elements about them, some due to bugs, some not due to bugs. What has kind of been, like if you were to pick maybe a good thing and maybe a bad thing from each of the three, what would be kind of like a highlight and a low light of each? Or like a recommendation?
The bad thing from the first two is that Prox didn't work.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, I usually send you my feedback, which is so egotistical of me, but it is what it is. I just love them and I want them to be great. So I'm like, I'm just going to give my feedback and hopefully he doesn't hate me for it. I don't think I had any, negatives. No. I don't think so.
So I'll give you one that someone else shared with me, which was that the last one we did was kind of boring. For certain groups of people, it was boring.
I mean, okay, explain.
So I got a message from someone, and they were saying that I needed to come up with a way to generate content for the people that weren't actively engaged in the actual deals themselves. So like we had some logistics people there who were kind of just not necessarily waiting around, but there wasn't a ton for them to do during the downtime. And like the security guys, both air and ground, the ground security, nothing happened there. There was no contact. Sometimes there will be, sometimes there won't be. And the air guys, they had some people come through, but nothing crazy. And so I got a comment saying that for those types of people who aren't actively engaged in the deals, that we need to generate some kind of way to keep them entertained as well. So
But
that
if
was
you
one of the
do that,
bad feedbacks I got.
if you're trying to entertain the security, what happens if you get hit? If they're busy, like, what are they going to do? Like, I
Yeah.
guess you could, like, hey, if we get hit, everybody turn and fight them. But then how do you know? Like, there's no way you would know in the moment. Like, there's a reason they're there, right? It's to keep it safe. Like,
Yep.
if you did something like that, I think you would have to turn it from community to internal. And then you would just kind of script out the whole thing, which is fine. Like, it's a different thing. But I think then you would have to set up cameras everywhere, because at that point you would be making like a movie more than an event, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that really would be
It
more of a
becomes less
video.
dynamic and more scripted.
Yeah. But that
Which,
there you go, dynamic. Like, you don't want to set this stuff up and have them, busy the whole time.
for sure. And so that's from my perspective, it's an interesting discussion because I've kind of been experimenting, especially the last two events really, um, and this next one coming up too. We have some more twists and turns that I've never done before. Um, Oh yeah, next one's gonna be a doozy. Um,
Nice.
I'll give a teaser for that at the end for the viewers and whatnot. But so it's an interesting kind of point to be in because obviously as the crew size grows, the number of mouths you have to feed, if we want to call it that, in terms of giving them stuff to constantly eat up and entertain themselves with, grows. And so that with that comes a lot of complexity. Like if my crew size was only 5 guys, all 5 guys are actively involved in the deal because I need them. You're gonna have one guy who's watching him with a gun, just pointed at the customer to make sure he doesn't shoot us. You're gonna have another guy who's actively moving weapons around. You have maybe a second security guy, and then you're gonna have me, and maybe you have a pilot or something. Who knows? But they're all gonna be actively involved. But then when you run a crew of 20, 30, 40, 50, well then it becomes a lot more interesting. At what point does someone standing around be cool for the environment but not cool for the player? And it's an interesting thing that we'll still be exploring and whatnot.
I think you just have to find people that are willing to do that. Like, I don't think you would go to like 388 and be like, hey, do you guys want to come stand around for a while? But like security orgs that are more in the like RP side of things, like, I don't know any of them, but like I've seen videos of like people that run bunkers in a very like tactical and like realistic way. And like, I think that shit's pretty cool. Like, so you would have to kind of lean on those types of players more, like the more RP centered ones. I mean, it is role play at the end of the day, and like that scares some people off. But I mean, I'm into that. Like, I think role play is cool. That's why we're the inspectors. We role play as cargo inspectors. Like, I don't know. I think everybody's role playing a little bit in some way. They're just maybe not telling you that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I agree. It's one of those things where it's like, yes, if someone told me it wasn't roleplay, I could believe you. Because, in my opinion, for the most part, except for what we have coming in the next event. Next event, we do have a guy who's just straight up roleplaying. There's no need for him to be there. But he wants to, and so I'm allowing him to. But in my previous events, there hasn't really been a role that someone's been assigned that wasn't needed in some way. Or it didn't benefit the event in terms of creating either a safer space or maybe a more entertaining space. And or maybe just be there in a helpful way to help move boxes around in a practical and meaningful way. But if someone also came to me and said, you guys are role playing, I would say, okay, yeah, that's fair too, because at the end of the day, I literally have a briefing before the meeting assigning the roles to every single group. Saying, all right, you guys are doing this, you guys are doing this, and you could call that role play. Now, is that the kind of role play that maybe people initially think of when they hear that, or are they thinking of like GTA 5 roleplay, which is like you create your own character and you have your own backstory and like you find out that you're the son of two parents that orphaned you for some reason, like whatever. There's like a whole backstory to it. We don't quite have that, but everyone does have a role to play in the event, and so it's an interesting conversation. If you're in the watching live, let me know what you guys think in terms of that discussion. Would love to kind of hear some of your guys' feedback on that. But so, in terms of kind of my events and what we have coming up, and maybe what you have coming up as well, but also what the game has coming up, what do you think that events like these will continue to be important for kind of the growth of the game, or do you think this will kind of always stay in kind of a more niche role play type space?
No, I mean, events are always going to be big, especially for bringing new players in. Like, sorry, my dog's making noise. The first videos I ever saw was, for Star Citizen, was Rexzilla, one of his events. Do you know who that is?
Vaguely. I think I've seen like one of his videos, something like that.
Very, very worth checking out, especially for how early, like, he was playing the game before, he quit playing before I started playing.
Okay.
And it's like, you just got to think like how little the game had back then, and they were able to pull this stuff off. And what they were doing was like, there'd be like a hammerhead landed on Daymar, and 3 Cuddy steels filled with infantry people would land, and they'd have to storm out and try to take the hammerhead while the hammerhead's like shooting them on the ground. You know what I mean? And it was like huge, like
that's the one I saw.
Right?
That was cool.
Yeah, dude, that shit's sick. Like, that's an event, and like, not only for the content, because the content's obviously what's going to bring people in. And the marketing team is pretty strong. but like, seeing that there's more, like, because that's the thing. Like, marketing does such a good job of like hyping people up, and then they're like, okay, cool. What is there actually to do? And then they see and they're like, okay, there's like a good bit to do, but I'll probably get bored eventually. So then that's where the sandbox part of the game comes in. Somebody said the other day it's a sandbox with no sand, which I thought was hilarious. But like, there is so much shit to do. Like, there's so much shit to use it to your, I don't know, gameplay style, if you will. I don't really know if that's what I want to say. But yes, to answer the question, the events they're going to get better and bigger, and they're going to be super important forever, I think. Yours in general, I think they're going to pick up. I mean, I think they're really fun. That's why I post about them so much, because I want more people to come. Because the more people that come, the longer it, is like active. There's not just like, okay, let's see what's happening next. Which, like, the last one was pretty quick. There wasn't a lot of downtime.
Yeah, last one.
Not for me.
Yeah. For certain people, there wasn't a ton of downtime. We have someone in the chat right now. Mad Soul, he was running the ground crew, and he said ground crew had a good bit of downtime, which is fair.
I heard him.
The ground crew did not have a ton going on that event. Also, for those wondering why we have the slideshow going up on the screen, those are some of the pictures from the last Arms Deal event. So you'll kind of see those cycling through. Probably what I'll keep doing is for these future podcasts, we're scheduling them in a way that every time a new podcast episode is hosted, there will have been a big community event that I've done in the meantime. So one week I do the podcast, next week I do an podcast event, and it'll just keep coming through. And then when I'm done, I'll put up all the pictures from the most recent event in there so you guys can keep seeing those. Yeah, I think I agree with you. My kind of like one sentence take on it is the marketing team is great for bringing in players for the first time. Player events are what keep you there for a long time. And it's what, like, I can't even tell you the number of DMs I've gotten where someone will be like, you just opened my eyes to what's possible in this game, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And because then people, I've had other people too who have come to the event, maybe as a buyer, or maybe they joined my crew or something. And also, by the way, everyone, I'm not doing this to try to brag about my stuff. It's just the only thing I really have experience with. So it's the only thing I can really reference and talk about. So I had another person DM me, and he was like, your event and seeing how that all went down and how smooth it was has inspired me to come up with my own event that does something totally different, but in kind of the same vein of like bringing in the community, using the sandbox tools, whether it's like a location or ships or players or armors or whatever they might be using, to kind of generate these player-driven content things. And so it's a very interesting kind of, I don't want to say breakthrough, because I don't think it is a breakthrough. Like you said, Rex has been doing this for a long time. But I do think that recently the game has brought in so much new stuff to play with that the possibilities are growing, and the possibilities I think are going to continue to grow. Like base building, I mean, come on. Base building.
I mean, it comes in.
If that comes in, and I think that's a big if. If base building comes in any cool capacity, I think like the player events are gonna go stupid crazy. I guarantee I'm gonna see some events someday where an org builds a base, and then another org builds another base like right next to each other, and you're gonna see a giant battle of like a turf war.
That would be insane.
Then that's gonna be sick.
Insane. You're like driving the cyclones like across like Microtech.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be insane.
That would be so sick. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And then things like my arms deals are gonna grow exponentially with base building. I already have tons of ideas to how to evolve that once we start to get personal bases and personal storage and inventories, and like CIG has even talked about literally being able to sell stuff from your base directly as part of an in-game tool and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that, I mean, it's going to go stupid crazy. Stupid. I'm so excited for it. So kind of, I guess, another question for you is there anything, what's your dream, if you could just, boom, tomorrow your dream event happened, what would it be for you? Because for everyone else it's different. I'm already playing my dream in terms of what I wanted this game to accomplish and do. But for everyone, that might look a little different. So have you ever thought about that? Like, if I could run something?
I've already been to my dream event. It's already happened. I was there, and I deleted the footage on accident. So I'm at... there's a couple of people in the Saber Raven Owners Club that I know, and because they low fly. And it was Kalani and I had the craziest couple of sessions together. It was so wacky. Where basically, like, we would log in, and, like, back then... I had this weird thing, like I would log on and I would just say like 07, just like, hello chat, how's it going? And like multiple times someone would be like, yo, come here now, like come here right now. And on one of those occasions, it was one of my low fly buddies and they were like, yeah, come to this location right now. And I was like, well, I'm actually going to film something with Kalani. And they were like, no, like come here right now. So I go, like I was like, Kalani, let's go. We go and we like come over this hill and it's like 25 Saber Ravens just sitting on the ground. So they did this little low fly thing, and then they were like, do you want to come to a fashion show we're doing later today? And I was like, yes. So it was in the, what are the things on our hands called? Moby glasses. The Moby Glass store in Microtech. Is it like the bottom floor?
Yep.
So basically, contestants would walk down that, like that spiral staircase. There's those three, like one in the middle and two on the sides. That was where I somehow talked my way into becoming a judge. Not sure how. But so like I was the first one. They'd come up, stand, do a little twirl, next person twirl, next person twirl, and then they would go and like stand, in that like little middle area. And it was the coolest shit ever. I've wanted to redo it forever. I actually have an idea that I think would be kick ass that I'm not telling anybody about because it's way too good. But yeah. That's you already know. I talk about fashion stuff all the time. Like, those are my favorite events, is like fashion shows, 100%. If I could put one on every day, I would, but I'm way too lazy.
For the viewers that might be watching, I've seen Kiyosa do absolutely insane things to recover his glasses off of his character that it somehow got lost or stolen in some way, shape, or form. He cares a lot about his glasses. So follow-up question.
4 sets pledged. 4 sets of my glasses pledged. It's a subscriber item.
So follow-up question that is, what stopped you so far from kind of taking the steps necessary? Because I think this is a big discussion around the game. Is people, there are tons of people. When you ask someone, like, what do you want this game to accomplish? I made a Spectrum post asking basically that question. What stopped you from either in the past making your dream event or right now creating your dream experience in Star Citizen? And everyone gave a different answer. So I'm curious what yours is.
It's me. It's definitely me. It's the same thing for like videos, for the streams, for everything. It's just me. I just get in my own way. Like I have such a good idea. I already know who the judges are going to be. I already know where I want to do it. I just haven't. I don't know why. I couldn't explain why. It literally nothing in game. Just me. Haven't done it yet. And I think it's honestly just because I'm focused so much more on like the in-game adventure type stuff and not planning anything. So like I'll log in, open Discord, say, hey guys, what's everybody doing? And like, you know, like you're like, hey, the hole's open. Oh, okay, on the way. Or Spartan's like, yo, I just bombed a Polaris. Okay, on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like basically every day
In
is
the
like a
moment
fresh
stuff?
slate. Exactly. Like, what are we doing right now? I don't want to plan stuff for a couple of days from now because I'm just going to want to do something else in a couple of days anyways. So, but
Yeah.
I've been talking to this guy, Admiral Rocket. He's friends with Fatbird and me, obviously. He actually plays me in the. Well, I probably shouldn't have said that. He plays Turnkey in the Fatbird videos, but he's one of the people I want to be a judge, and he's like, apparently he's good at like keeping people on track. So like, I might just reach out to him and be like, yo, just like make me do this, like, like, just feel like you have to do it. Like, just call me over and over and be like, yo, we're doing it 2 days. Let's just do it.
I can help with that too. I love. I'm happy to help whenever you guys do get to that point. I can help keep you on schedule.
Hopefully,
as well.
eventually, yeah.
One of the things I got really good at, and this is actually something. This was a big complaint of mine when I was in my previous org, and I've seen lots of other orgs do the same thing. So it's not my previous org specific to them. I see this all the time. Is if someone's gonna plan something, they plan it so far out in advance that oftentimes it burnt out before it even got to that point. And so they spend so much time planning. And oh my gosh. The number of times I've seen multiple orgs announce some really cool sounding thing, and then you find out that they had like 15 internal staff meetings to plan out this event, and they spent tons of man hours to put on an event, and then by the time it gets there, like 10 people show up because it lost so much steam throughout its announce cycle and its promo cycle, and then would die out, and it just wasn't what they wanted it to be. And so for me, that was a huge complaint. I was like, why are we planning events so far in advance? We're not an actual business. Like, we have no reason to be doing that. What's stopping us from announcing this event happening next week versus stop it happening in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks? And like, also, what purpose does it serve? What do we gain by saying that this is in 3 weeks that we don't gain by saying it's in 1 week? Really, the only thing is sometimes people will say scheduling. And
yeah,
I think that's fair. But you also risk so much by doing that because in 3 weeks, I mean, how many people have 3 weeks planned out in their real life? I don't, personally. Right. I schedule about 2 weeks. That's kind of my cycle. And so it's like last minute things are going to come up and just life things happen and things are going to change, and maybe your motivation to do this event isn't going to be the same in 3 weeks that it was when you started it and you got the idea and started promoting it. And so for me, when I started making events, I have operated typically on a 1 week cycle. For these Arms Deals events, because they're now working with 50 plus people, I move them to a 2 week cycle, but I'm very firm on that 2 weeks. I will not go to 3 weeks under any circumstance. And I would, if someone tells me that, hey, in a major factor of an event says, hey, we can't be here anymore, we need you to reschedule this for another week or two out, I'll just say, okay, that's fine. We'll bump you a week and a half or 2 weeks out. But in the meantime, I'm going to do this event anyway without you, because otherwise the momentum's going to die. And like, if I went a whole month without doing this, I don't know if I would still do them anymore, because You don't know where you're gonna be at in a month, and it's a very fluid thing. You got game updates happening, game bugginess, blah blah blah. It's brutal. And so yeah, I mean, I would encourage you. Let's make it happen. Make it happen. Fashion show in the verse.
I mean, there's also the bug stuff, right? I mean, because there's also times where like I'll go to film a video and then something will happen. I'm like, not only do I can't film this because there's a bug that's stopping me from doing it. I don't even want to anymore. I don't want to do this. This is stupid. Do I even want to promote this game anymore? It's like it kind of spirals very quickly.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, bugs are a
normal
quick
game
way
stuff.
to and be a momentum killer. Which it's one of the reasons why I like my event, and I think your event would go fairly similarly because it doesn't require a lot of complex things at all.
Mm-mm.
It's fairly simple. It's just like show up, and at that point, it becomes a lot of like voice chat related things. It's not a ton of. I don't know exactly how you would do it, but I'm kind of thinking about how I would do it at least. I don't see it being very complex in terms of like a lot of inventory management. You're not really gonna have to deal with that a whole ton, and it's really just get people there. Get people there to bring cool outfits and have a couple judges and maybe be positioned in the right place at a location. So then your biggest issue is, does quantum work and can they join a server? And like those are kind of your two really big hurdles. And then of course, will people actually show up? And that's one of the reasons why I think my events have been doing well-ish, although last time I did lose a box with like 100 guns in it. That was horribly tragic.
That was brutal. That was tough.
Is for the most part, they are not super complex in terms of game mechanics. For most people involved, other than like me and maybe one or two other people, it's show up. Show up with either your ship or your rifle or your cool outfit or something, and then a lot of it is just kind of walking around and being in the atmosphere and talking to people. And it's not a ton of like, we need this mission to work from the mobiGlas, and we need to make sure it can be shared to everybody. And like even parties, we don't really need parties to work for it to work. No, it's nice if it works, but it's not a requirement. So yeah, that would be my words of encouragement for both you and any of the viewers listening too. Is if you're thinking of doing an event, do it. Do it. It's worth it. It's so worth it. It's a great way to both grow you and your brand, but it's also a good skill teacher. Like I feel a lot smarter now when it comes to organizing a group of people than I did a couple months ago when these weren't as big and I wasn't doing them as much. Also just generates more content for the community, and what's not to love about that?
Yeah, organizing is definitely one. So I have done an event before. I did Keel World. It was like a year and a half ago. It was off the tail end of the Fatbird STV video. I don't remember the name of that one. But I saw that video and I was like, that's such a cute little car. I want to do an event where we go like dune buggy racing on Daymar. So it was like a STV dune buggy / low fly event. And everybody was like, are we driving or are we flying? I was like, I'll just do whatever you want. And that was not what I should have said at all, because that just created like this chaos where like all the STVs, different directions, all the low flyers, different directions. Like nobody had any idea what was going on and what we were doing. And I was just like, okay, I see. Like I fucked this up really bad. Like, okay, cool. And like people were messaging me, they're like, dude, that was so fun thing. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like that sucked. Like don't even. We got hit too because I didn't bring security, so we got smashed. Cincy, it was either Cincy or Decoy. One of them brought an 890 and the other one brought a C2 stuffed with STVs. Like zero room remaining, filled with STVs. Both of them got shot out of the sky. I was like, fuck. Like this was pre 4.0, so you still like you couldn't pull them up. You had to go to a place like a Shubin's and pull. Oh, dude, That was so sad. I was like, I'm so sorry. I wasted your time. I was like, oh man. I guess it was fun. But I have like hangar events and stuff I want to do too.
What do you mean by that?
So I had you know how we have like the PTV track?
Yeah.
So I wanted to take a Polaris and put it in like an XL and open it, or a C2. The C2 was the original idea, and then I was like, oh, Polaris would be fun too. And just like open up both sides, see if the ramp's down, and just like create a course in an extra large hangar, and then drive it. And then that turned into like an FPS event in the hangars. But like, I spent 2 hours pulling up ships, blowing them up, moving all the debris to the side, pulling up a new ship, blowing it up again over and over, setting up this whole little FPS thing in my hangar. It looked sick. And then I was like, oh wait, party markers, and you're not allowed to be in my hangar if you're not in my party, so this won't work. But there's that, and then the gambling one. I had a gambling idea too, where we do like yard games where we like throw stuff at stuff and like closest wins. Most of them revolve around hangars. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I try to create like grief-proof events because Keo World got obliterated. So I'm like, okay, it's the first thing I think of, which is not great, but it is. I'm like, okay, where plus how can we not get hit? Because I just don't want to worry about security. Like, not even. No, I'm good. Like, no.
And so that prompts kind of an interesting discussion, and because I guarantee you're not the only person that feels that way, which is how much of community events, or how many amazing community event ideas, have not come to life because the open world nature of the game adds so much risk that it just doesn't become worth it. So, like for Keo World, for example, I'm guessing for certain people, especially the people pulling all those STVs, there's a lot of time associated with that. And to have all that time spent to then have it killed, for most people, I could see that being a big turnoff or a big, like, nope, log out for the day, I'm done. Now for me, I'm actually the complete opposite. I if I wanted to do that myself, I could do arm steals in hangars. But that's like everything I stand against is hangar events. I've also thought about doing an FPS hangar event. I've also had a similar experience where I tried to make my own using vehicles and stuff on the thing. And then I also came to the realization that it was pointless because no one could come in there.
Yep. Did you realize that as you were like, hey, come look, like you told your friend, like, because that's what I did. I was like, yo, come look at it. And they were like, well, invite me to your party so I can get to your hangar. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. That's not going to work.
Yeah, it's a... I don't think I invited someone. I think I was having some form of a discussion, though, that prompted this, like, oh, crap moment of, like, it just hit me like a truck. So for me, I actually had to change, and if you're still interested, this still works, by the way. It doesn't work as well, but it still works really well. If you want to host an FPS event, one of the best places to do it is at Orison, but not at Orison proper. There's like certain facilities that I think used to be used for Siege of Orison. And they have these really cool, they're basically FPS arenas already built into the thing, and they're out of armistice zones. And it's just this very cool area you can go to. I could show it to you at some point this weekend or whatever. And so I've done events there before where we did like a battle royale event where someone had I think it was a Valkyrie, and we just loaded up a bunch of boxes with like random gear and stuff, and they would just fly over the map slowly and just start dropping boxes out randomly, and then players would spawn in, and what's cool about the place is it spawns loot boxes naturally. So what was happening is players would all drop in with basically nothing, and there was like, I don't know, 8 guys, 10 guys, something like that. It was a pretty small event, but we kind of had a designated play space, and they couldn't do anything about it because if you left the platform, you just fell into the middle of Crusader. So it created this natural boundary, and then you had 3 skyscrapers with elevators to go up levels and get like vantage points or whatever. So you had elevation, you had a decent map size, and it was out of armistice. You had natural loot boxes. It was perfect for like a battle royale or like an FPS style event. It was great. So there's some cool things there, and that kind of prompts my next thought, which is for both the viewers watching and you too, Kiosa, is like get creative with locations. There's a lot of really cool locations in Star Citizen now, especially now. They've been adding them like crazy lately, and some of them can be used for insanely cool ways. Like I'm decently willing to bet that when CIG devs were building distribution centers, they did not think to themselves, this is going to turn into an arms dealing hub that players invade and turn into a place where you start selling mass quantities of weapons to players, and it turned into like a player base of sorts. I'm guessing that probably wasn't along their table of thought.
That's the best stuff, though. It's the stuff that they're like, they didn't think was going to happen.
Exactly. And that is kind of my point to this is like get creative with locations. There's a lot of really cool locations that you can do really cool things with if you kind of go out looking for them with that mindset. Because it's kind of a mindset. Like, I can't think of the number of times that I've been to a distribution center and not once have I thought, oh, what are the possibilities of events that I can run at this location? Until one day I did. And as soon as I did, it like hit me like a freight train. And all of a sudden I was like, yes. The possibilities here are insane. And so yeah, that would be a word of encouragement to both the viewers and you is get creative with some of the locations. Because like that Hittinger idea, I think you'd be great. You should totally do that, 100%. Especially with what we've been doing now. Like that would be tons of fun. And there's ways of doing exactly what you're trying to accomplish and make it as grief proof as possible while still making it like a dynamic event of sorts. Like, for example, if you wanted to prevent GrieferNet from showing up to something like that, distribution centers internally, they have all those cargo bays. Those are like FPS bases already. And they're bomb proof, they're fighter proof. The only way you can get in is on foot. And so, if they're willing to come do that and be on foot, maybe they disrupt you, but then also maybe it turns into an even bigger battle of FPS battles, and maybe that's not such a bad thing too.
If somebody stormed that hallway while we were out, like in there, that would have been epic.
Yeah,
that was so cool,
and that would be tons of fun. And so you can get creative with some of those things, and I think you can turn a lot of those kind of visions and turn them into reality. And they don't take a lot of work too. For the people that have been to my arms dealing events or have seen me post about them, you'd probably be shocked by how little time it takes me to host something like that. Even an event that had 56 people, it probably took me 3 hours of actual work to post and put together before the event. Obviously, the event itself was also many hours, but prior to the event, total work, and I'm talking about DMing people, coordinating people, posting on social media, all that kind of stuff. And then in-game prep too. It was about 3 hours or so. And that's been about my normal for events is 2, maybe 3 hours worth of work to put on an event that's about 2 or 3 hours long. And that's kind of my goal. I try to go for about a 1-to-1 ratio of prep to actual event time. So,
nice.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible for the people out there, and definitely go out there and do that. Reading some of the comments now. Matt, I saw you talk about private servers. Now, Kiosa, I think that brings up an interesting question for you. Is what is your stance on private servers and events?
Please. Oh my God. Private servers would be lit as shit. Are you kidding me? I mean, how else are they going to do base building, honestly? Like, your base is just going to be on a random server that you don't know how to get to? I think they're going to have to do, like, if they're doing base building, they're doing some sort of server list, or they're putting this all together, which won't work. But I'm down for private servers. Like, I'm not super down for PvE servers. I don't know. Like, I kind of teeter back and forth. Like, yeah, okay. If you want to take that part out of the game, and I mean, to me, that pulls a big chunk out of the game. But if you really don't want that, and you just really want your experience to be less than ours, because all you want to do is fly in a straight line and haul cargo. Sure, whatever. Who cares? I don't want them to spend time that they could be making the game better and bug free and all that doing it. Like once we're after 1.0, sure, whatever. But yeah, like I don't really have a huge problem. I think private servers would be sweet solely for events, like a low fly event or like a racing event, which racing events I think are kind of getting their own servers now. Like,
Yeah,
not
I know there
to
was
me,
some controversy around Daymar Rally getting their own. Potentially, it was unclear whether or not they did or not.
okay. To me, private servers are good for frames. I don't. If there's me and 10 of my friends at a low fly event, I don't want set 590 other people hogging the server. If I can get a private server with Daymar and Seraphim, that's it, and it can hold up to 20 people, dude, I'm chilling. I can just low fly with 120 frames or whatever. It's perfect. There's no bugs. Everything's clean and snappy. Like that's great. If you're hosting like this is the most dangerous race in the verse on a private server, that's not great. Like that does look kind of weird.
Yeah. Do you think? Well, I guess first off, do you think we'll ever get private servers? Do you think? Because they did mention that I think at some point in the initial Kickstarter that we were going to get some form of private.
I think we're gonna get PvE servers. I think we'll get both.
Yeah. I hope not.
I mean, if they serve a purpose, I don't know, because like, okay, who's going to PvE servers? People that have no clue what they're doing, have no clue how to fight. Yeah, who cares?
So
like,
here's my experience, and here's why I don't want it. I do see that everything you're saying though, 100% valid, and I think other people are kind of at the same point as you. My biggest thing is I've seen games like the most recent one is Gray Zone Warfare. They do this where you have PvE servers, but then you also have PvP servers. And what ends up happening is the PvP servers become so much more sweaty. It's all the tryhards. It's either the tryhards, the people that don't know what's going on at all, and they just accidentally picked PvP servers.
Oopsies.
Or you have, like, maybe hardcore RP people, but even then, I don't think they're coming to a PvP server. I think they're going PvE. And so for me, I think it takes, kind of like what people in the comments are saying too right now, is it takes so much of the unknown out of the equation. And it makes the skill, like if someone wants to transition who's never PvP'd before, and all they've done is played in a PvE server, and then they go over to a PvP server, well, you're a majority of the time going to find mostly PvP people who have just been now baking in this PvP sweat fest for years, potentially. And I think it raises the knowledge level to enter that space. It's kind of my personal take on it.
But that's how it's kind of always been, in my opinion. It's kind of always been you do PvE missions until if you want to go into that world, and then you're just swarmed by like, oh yeah, no, I don't know anything. Like I went and did like practice training stuff with PAX, and there was like an hour and a half, 2 hour session where this dude beat me in every single ship that you should not be able to kill people with. And it was just because he was that much better than me. And like, I feel like most people, and like in the moment I was like, I don't think this is helping me. But like looking back, I'm like, it really opened my eyes to like, oh yeah, you're like, the skill level is way high. Like the skill ceiling is way higher than you would think it is. So I think either way, it's going to work. Like it's kind of going to be that way. Like when we go to Hathor, we shit on people. Watch when a PvP org shows up. They're going to shit on us. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's kind of going to happen either way. If you want to join the game, get your feet wet a little bit in the PvE, and just like Like, imagine you're just trying to figure out, like, dude, my ship is making a weird noise and the quantum isn't working because I own a Connie and Connies are trash, right? And then you get killed at an OM and you're like, I don't even know what just happened. But this game sucks and I'm not going to play this anymore. But then if you didn't get killed, you would have had that time to, okay, the power management's fucked up. Okay, I just got to fix that. We're back on our way. So then next time when you are ready to PvP, you're good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, and I see both sides of the argument. I'm not hugely preferential on either because so many of my play styles and what I enjoy involves a lot of guys who are not PvP people. Like my arms dealing events, I think would get a lot lower attendance if I was in a PvP only server, um, because I think all the PvE people would be like, I don't want to come to an event like that. But now they'll come because they don't have a choice because they've always played in this environment. And so coming now doesn't change what they're doing the day before and what they're doing the day after because they've still been in this environment this whole time. And now they're just coming because they can. But if they had the option not to come because there's a better or safer or potentially more enjoyable environment for them, I think I would lose them, is my take. I don't actually have the facts to back that up, but I do. I think I would really struggle with certain attendance. Like logistics people, I think I would struggle to get logistics people. People who like to do more RP stuff, I think I would struggle with that too. Getting guys like to do security, no, because I just find PvP guys, so I'm in a PvP server anyway. I think that would be fine. But I do think I would struggle in some areas. And I'm curious how that'll play out if they do that. My personal take, I really don't want it, but I do respect other people that do. So it's about an hour and 24 minutes. I'll try to wrap us up around an hour and a half. So we got probably 5 or 6 more minutes or so. So I'll kind of wrap up with maybe a quick final question or something along those lines. And if you're in the comments right now, feel free to drop a final question, something like that. Maybe we could ask it right now. But in terms of, let me see, how do I want to phrase this? Events and so for some context before I even ask this question, for me, I've experienced tremendous growth on all of anything that people kind of follow me on or talk with me with, and maybe my reputation, if you want to call it that, has grown tremendously. The clout.
You getting that clout?
Yeah. Has grown tremendously in the last 2 months, I think, maybe 3 months. Between Twitter posts going viral talking about my events, screenshots getting reposted left and right because came from events and whatnot. What do you think the value is for people who either host events or participate events to kind of experience their own growth in either growing their orgs or their little communities or their followings on social media, things like that? Do you think I'm kind of experiencing a one-off kind of take, or do you think that there are other people out there who can also do something similar along the lines of kind of finding that niche and kind of grabbing hold of it and kind of running with it and kind of growing a following based off of maybe some cool event that they do, or like the Daymar Rally, for example, has built their kind of community. Like it's an iconic thing now, the freaking Daymar Rally. And
I watched that shit on my TV this year in the living room. I was cooking and watching it.
Yeah, same.
It's like
I did the same thing. First time this year I watched it.
I remember talking about that.
And it's cool. So do you think this is kind of a really niche thing? Like I'm getting lucky, or do you think other people can kind of recreate this, create really fun, exciting content, and growth will come from it?
I mean, that's the formula. That's literally the formula.
I agree.
I'm not gonna give out my shit now, but I go because I like you and I think it's fun, but I'm not stupid, and I won't say it's not free content. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I only go because I think it's immersive and fun. Like, I do know at the end of the day that I will get free pictures out of this, and like one of them I think got reposted by RSI. Like, I think it's not the one that's behind me. It's one of the ones I was going to use. But like, no, like people like me, other content creators are going to latch on to shit like this. Like, one, because it's cool as fuck. Two, because it gives them and their community, regardless of how big it is, like it gives me, Tommy, Tao, Spark, it gives us shit to do. Like when we're all burnt out, like we are right now, and we don't want to do anything. Oh, we can all get together, look cute, grab a potted plant or some shit, and go hang out with Gally in the middle of nowhere. Why not? You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, it is like the, if anything, what I think the most concrete formula is. It's the one that I'm trying to follow, which is just be epic as shit, and people will think you're cool, and then watch you do stuff. I don't know if it's working. I guess kind of it is. I mean, people are paying attention a little bit, but yeah, I mean, and it's good for the game. Like the more people that do it, it's good for the game, and you get, if there's a shitload of people doing events, and you guys start doing like collab events where it's like, let's say you find there are people. I mean, I was kind of with some for a little bit, but like you find a group that only puts on air show events. They come to your thing. You collide, you combine the two. It's a better thing. Like I've been talking about wanting to do like gambling stuff and like clothing. And like that's something that we've kind of talked about a little bit, but like not a ton, is like me bringing the pirate poker table and some dice to the thing. And like in the waiting room that those guys were in, I could have set that up. But like, hey, who wants to play dice? Like, my prox was broken at the time, but like,
yeah,
could have, like, that would have been cool. Freezer could have done it for me. His was working. But yeah, I mean, the more the better. And yeah, I think it's a great, I mean, you know how I feel about the news. And this is why I latch onto like you and like what I was saying, like Heim Delight does his PvP breakdowns. Like that's the shit that I think people should pay more attention to. Like, I can't wrap my head around the fact that, and this is not going to sound great, but the fact that news creators are getting like 10x views over people that play the game and have epic adventures. That's fucking bonk. What's happened?
What the heck?
Did you kick me? What happened?
No. I'll keep working on that while you're talking.
You were like, oh no, you're like, no, fuck that. No, it's back. I see it. But like that just blows my mind that like people don't pay more attention to the shit that's happening in the game. That's the cool shit. Like that's what, like, yes, something is coming up that will be cool eventually. Yeah, sure. But like there's shit happening now. Like we were in the hole today. I slid my laser shots through the tiny slit of the hole to blow up an 85X. We enter, and then the exact same thing happens to us with an ion, where they're nose downing us in the hole. We're trying to hide and escape. Like, that shit is sick. Why, like, coming to an arms deal and having, like, I wish I could change the picture, like, right now, but, like, seeing, I think it was, like, 5 or 6 or 7, maybe it was 7, Polaris in the sky just fighting. Like, nobody covered that. Like, what's going on? That's like, it actually makes me angry that like more people don't pay attention to that shit, because that's what will make the game grow, not the news every day. Because all people do is bitch about the news. Oh, new feature that's broken. Oh, the bug that I experienced the most didn't get patched. Like, that's why I don't pay attention to the news. Do you know how many patch notes I've read? 1 for 4.1, and it was to see if the bug that was making me not want to play the game was fixed. Only time I've ever read patch notes. It's just like, to me, it's not good for the game or the community. Definitely not good for the community. Yeah, that one.
Let me see if I can showcase what you're talking about here.
What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that little one's a 6th, isn't it?
No, that's a Hornet.
Okay.
For the viewers who might be watching. Let's see. Nope, that's not it.
I might be able to catch it. Could find it. Oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah, so you'll see it on the screen
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Yeah, so super cool. I mean that's one of my favorite pictures to ever come out of one of my events, and it's just incredibly cool looking. Um, to kind of see that and to see someone take these really cool looking pictures from different perspectives, because obviously like when I'm running an event like that, I'm only getting my perspective. I don't get to see what other people are experiencing until after the fact, and then I find out from them like, oh, I got to experience this, or I got to see this, and it's very, very different. Here, throw it on.
I need to make the video
Here.
out of all the footage I got from the 3. Because I have good footage, I just need to edit it together into something. That's what I want to do yet.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that once you end up doing that. So cool. I think we'll end it there. I did tell everyone I would give a teaser for what's coming next week, so I'll kind of touch on that now. Although you kind of touched on 2 of the things in your answer to that. So next week event, anyone's welcome to come. April 25th, 6:30 p.m. I think is start time, Eastern. Some of the new things we're going to be trying, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but I will kind of tease some of them, is Kiyosa mentioned gambling earlier, so I took that idea, and I'm kind of incorporating some element of that into next week's event, where we will have a boxing tournament take place, and people will be able to like sports gamble on the boxing tournament. So we're gonna have a whole bracket system, and I have a buddy right now working on an algorithm to give betting odds for each of the fighters as they come through, so people can actually
That's sick.
bet on some of these boxers as they're coming through the ring and fighting and whatnot. I've done the boxing tournament once before, and it was a great success. We actually had people donating us like millions and millions of AUEC because they were like, "This is so freaking cool." Add it to the prize
That's
pool.
awesome.
And it was all spur of the moment. Literally, me and my buddy were in the verse and just started typing in global chat like, "Yo, come to Lorville. We're having a boxing tournament." And people were just like,
That's awesome.
"I'm in. I'm coming!" And they just started flying from all over the verse to come to Lorville. And we had this really cool setup that like created a natural ring, and if you fell out of the ring, you would die in this whirling fan that's like bigger than a.
Oh shit!
It's freaking huge. It was sick, and I have some hilarious pictures that came out of it. And then because I was typing in global chat, people just started donating money because they were seeing this happen in global chat, and because proc chat wasn't working, I could only start the round by typing in global chat like, "Fighters, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, fight!" And I would be sending that in global
shit.
chat, and people were going crazy for it. And so we're taking that, we're going to put it in this event, and now we're also adding the gambling element to that, which will be, I think, a lot of fun. I'm trying to locate right now if anyone's interested. I'm looking for someone to manage specifically the gambling portion, because that'll be a little too micro heavy for me to do myself, because I'll be doing all the other things as well. So we will have that going. And then another teaser is you also mentioned air show. This isn't confirmed. We're still working on the details, but we might have some form of a like a military flyby where we get a really cool like kind of V formation wing of a bunch of Hornets or maybe some Valkyries or whatever like that. Or we might have an actual air show group come through and do an air show for some of the people at the event to kind of keep them entertained and whatnot. And then we have some other surprises too that are a closely held secret. So we'll be holding those. You'll have to find out what those are when you come on the 25th. But other than that, any final questions from you? Any questions for me? Anything like that before we close out here?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then it was a pleasure having you on. I think this was a great discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And look forward to playing with you more in the verse, having you come to the events and whatnot. And I also look forward to seeing you plan that fashion event. I'm going to hold you to that now.
We'll see eventually.
And to the guys watching, we've had 5 or 6, 7 viewers consistently throughout. Appreciate you guys watching. And for all my future YouTube viewers, thanks for coming in. This is episode 4 of the Citizens Voice podcast. Next one will be dropping in 2 weeks in early May. It's like May 3rd or something like that. And we will have another guest that lined up talking more org stuff. So look forward to seeing you guys all then. And thanks for coming on by. And Kyoso, thanks for coming. It was a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll play more soon.